Yo, what's up guys, it's me, Libe here, back with part 2 for What If Asta Was Chainsaw Man. If you guys have not seen the first part, make sure to go up here to the top upper right hand corner and slap that playlist button so you can see the first part and be caught up with the story up to now so everything goes and makes sense nicely. Anyway, continuing off from where we left off, Asta had left Sister Lily and journeyed with Yuno to the royal capital, the capital of the Clover Kingdom, where every year the Magic Knight entrance exams would take place, the various knights showing off their skills as a mage to the captains, with various Magic Knight captains choosing and picking who they want on their teams. So essentially it's just high-risk kickball teams. Asta and Yuno would travel the month's journey from Hodge Village all the way to the capital, Asta being excited seeing all the foods and people that he's never seen before in this huge city. Country bumpkin moments, just think about what he did in the original where he was face up against the glass, pulling a typical Asta. As the time drew near, it was eventually time for Yuno and Asta to take a break from exploring the city and go to their Magic Knight entrance exams. Yuno not having the slightest worry about himself, but being concerned if Asta would even be able to manage to fulfill any of the test requirements, having seen Asta's power, close and personal. It's at this point where the first test would occur, that being for everyone to use their magic to ride a broom. Now, surprisingly, Asta, as he grabs the broom, would feel something strange. Asta would be able to channel some magic into the broom and hover off the ground for a few seconds before falling flat on his face. This would cause Asta to be extremely confused, having no idea what the hell's going on. So for some context here, the devils in all of Black Clover have some level of mana, except for Liebe, who was the anti-magic devil, who had no mana whatsoever. This same idea is going to apply to Pochita. While Pochita is still the Chainsaw Devil from Chainsaw Man, pretty much the same exact character, everything that occurred is true within the confines of Black Clover. Pochita would have some mana, still being a devil, of course. If not, albeit an extremely weakened devil. For some spoiler content for Chainsaw Man fans, you know, if you know, you know. Anyway, Pochita does have some magic in this universe, still being significantly less than his true form though. And although Asta is able to use it now, he really has no control over it. Another interesting tidbit here is that during the ceremony, the anti-bird flocks, the birds that flock towards people with low magic levels, would be avoiding Asta and, you know, like the plague. The birds being able to sense Pochita's demonic power flowing throughout Asta. Anyway, after the broom exam, a man would introduce himself to Asta, this of course being Seke Branzaza, the guy who pegged Asta as a huge weakling. More tests would take place, with the examinees having to perform various tasks like firing some magic at a wall, shooting moving targets, creating something of magic, and pouring magic power into a plant to make it grow. Asta would fail to do any of the tasks that required him to create anything outside of his body, except, of course, for creating chainsaws. Asta successfully creating a single chainsaw in his left arm, freaking the hell out of the examiners and making them wonder what the hell is wrong with this kid, and where is his grimoire? Anyway, aside from that little scare, Seke really had no expectations for Asta, having seen him be incapable of doing simple tasks. He would ask Asta to be his partner, with Asta gladly accepting. Seke would eventually reveal his true intentions, that Asta was a weakling and he's going to show how impressive his magic is by beating up on the brat for a little bit. This would piss Asta off as he grabs at his chest, now unbuttoning his shirt, saying that now he's making him mad. Seke would laugh, saying, "Oh, you're mad? Then come on, bring it with that puny magic power of yours." Seke would activate his magnum cannonball, the scorpion-like looking magic shell surrounding his body, and would tell Asta that he'll give him the first attack. A vein would puff out on Asta's head as he says, "Eh?" grabbing the core in his chest and pulling it. A ripping sound of chainsaws filling the stadium, a ear-ripping sound so loud that most of these people have never heard one in their life. Of course, because machines don't exist in the world of Black Clover. Except for, I guess, you know, like some magic bikes and a few other magic tools and stuff. Asta would transform into Chainsaw Man. Black chainsaws ripping out of his arms and through his head as his blood would spurt across them, a ripping sound occurring as he laughs, saying he's gonna be bathing in his blood, getting bloodlusted from Seke's insults. He'd move forward at a blinding speed, all the captains and the examiners watching as he would shred through the mana shell of Seke with sparks flying, cutting through it as he digs into Seke's shoulder, causing blood to spurt everywhere, even ripping off his arm as the examinees would be horrified, Seke screaming and grabbing his arm as Asta is about to go in for the kill. His bloodlust in nature only being stopped by the examiners as they would try to repair Seke's arm using healing magic and luckily saving him and his recovery being ensured. The sheer amount of violence that Asta had caused at the scene would have gained the interest from several captains. Yuno would easily pass his test, having been a bit taken aback from Asta's battle and also being horrified and glad he hadn't asked Asta to be his partner. Ugh. Anyway, Yuno would challenge the noble who was hoping to put Yuno in his place, defeating him quite easily. After this, the captains would watch carefully, seeing all of the combat tests and eventually making their choices. After some time passes, it's eventually Yuno's turn, and as he steps forward, all 9 captains would raise their hands, being desired to recruit him into their squad. Yuno joining the ranks of the Golden Dawn, just like the canon timeline. Inevitably, Asta's turn would come up, and he would actually have 2 captains raise their hands for him. The 2 captains, of course, being Jack the Ripper, the leader of the green praying mantises, who for some reason just really jived with Asta's style, really vibing with him. He felt like he had a kindred spirit in the art of cutting the hell out of things. And second, of course, being Yami, the captain famous for taking in the oddballs and being the worst magic squad in all of Black Clover. Yami, noticing that Jack raised his hand, would lower his hand, thinking he doesn't really care if he gets this one or not. It's this nonchalant attitude that would cause Asta to get pissed off, getting a vein thrown on his forehead as he points at Yami, saying that he'll be joining the Black Bulls, claiming it was way too late for Yami to rescind his request, saying that Yami had already taken him when he raised his hand. Through Asta's provocation and the 2 of them yelling at each other for a while, Yami almost dragging out his sword, his magic power to use to intimidate Asta, Asta would stare through the magic, not even being phased, his determination showing to Yami that he was definitely a crazy bastard, which is perfect for both a devil hunter and also being a Black Bull. Anyway, through Asta's sheer determination, he would join a Magic Knight squad, which, as we know, would shock the father, Sister Lily, and the rest of the orphans back at the church in Hodge Village in the coming weeks when Asta begins to write letters home to let everyone know that he's alright, that him and Yuno had gone into the Magic Knights, etc. But that's going to come later. Anyway, back to the exams, Asta would quickly dash out of the venue, running for the bathroom like he did in the original timeline, with Seke following behind him and sending a sneak attack with one of his spells, thinking that this magicless weird brat ruined his reputation and ruined his chances of getting to a good, powerful Magic Knight squad. Well, as he activates his spell, Yuno would be standing directly behind him, activating a spell to obliterate Seke's. Seke would try to find some excuse for his act, with Yuno stopping him and threatening him by saying that he'll tell the captains of his actions even before they've joined their squads. Seke would quickly escape, fleeing, trying to get out of Yuno's range, and also hope that he doesn't earn the ire of the newest member of the Golden Dawn. Yuno would leave without a trace, Asta not even knowing that he was there. Anyway, after Asta finishes his business, he would regroup with his squad, Yami being annoyed that this kid had the gall to make him wait. Asta would try to explain his reasoning, but it would be to no avail. Yami once again grabbing Asta and crushing his head, as we see him in the original timeline do. The captain would then order his subordinate, the other Black Bull to come with him, Finral, to open a portal. Yami would then throw Asta through it with no hesitation, as the other 2 would step behind, now arriving in front of the headquarters of the Black Bull's base. The moment they enter, Asta would be left amazed, Yami introducing him to the other members, while simultaneously explaining to Asta that the Black Bulls is known as the worst squad of the Magic Knights. Asta would be trying to introduce himself to his new squad members, but no one would be listening to him, just doing their individual stuff, with, of course, Charmy eating, Lux running around chasing Magna, all of the quirky characters doing their own things, you know, similar stuff. It got to the point where Yami had to break the wall behind him with his fist for any of them to even listen to them. After seeing Luck and Magna breaking the hall, Yami would cause even more destruction, which would finally get the attention of all the members. With them stopping and welcoming their captain back home, he would be completely unfazed, disciplining the 2 of them and then introducing Asta to his new teammates. Yami would explain that there's actually 3 more members, but one of them's currently absent for now on a mission. One of the more rambunctious members, Magna, would tell Asta that he needs to prove himself to earn that squad robe, showing Asta his own robe, and the latter being super impressed by Magna. Anyway, needless to say, Asta would be super impressed, just like the original timeline. Magna explained to Asta that he's going to have to fulfill the initiation tradition that he made up. Explaining to Asta that he only needs to evade or block one of his spell attacks, and he'll receive his new robe. Asta would grin, saying that sounds fine to him. Luck would be watching, saying this is going to get interesting. Magna would throw a full power fireball. Asta would instinctively, because of all his physical training, as well as now having Pochita, the chainsaw devil at his heart, would activate one of his legs into a chainsaw, slashing into the ground and cutting it as Asta would drop to the floor, before, of course, placing his hands into a spring lock, jumping up and slashing with the chainsaw. A loud revving sound can be heard as Asta would tank the fireball, causing his chains and the metal on his chainsaws to burn red hot. Asta would continue the momentum of the blast with his kick, cutting through the ground and turning it to magma. His chainsaw breaking off of his leg as he falls, the blood spurting out of his leg, before it would begin to heal rather quickly. Asta's natural vitality combined with, of course, his new ability as a fiend would give him some huge regeneration boosts, as well as his regular physical stats. All the members would be super impressed with Asta's moves, especially Luck and Magna, having never seen that type of magic before. Asta would clarify that he actually doesn't have any magic, explain that this is actually the power of his best friend, Pochita. Yami would have watched how Asta's attack had worked. Having seen the injuries he had sustained from his own power, Yami was even more surprised seeing Asta's ability to heal. His regenerative factor was off the charts. In mere seconds, he had healed a huge cut through his entire leg, like it wasn't even there. That's of course not even mentioning the sheer destructive power of the chainsaw that Asta was able to summon from just one of his limbs. Anyway, Magna would be starting to warm up to Asta, liking the cut of his jib, the roughness on his edges, taking Asta on a tour of the headquarters and giving him his new Black Bull's robe. It would be while they're on their walk that Magna would introduce himself to his fellow new member, being Noel Silva, the famous noble from the Silva family. Asta would say hello to her of a kind greeting, to which she would just brush him off, saying that no commoner should speak to royalty in such a familiar tone. She would try to create a water attack and blast at Asta, but it would completely miss, causing Magna to get all wet instead. Magna screaming, "Hey, what the hell's your problem?" Noelle trying to justify her action. Of course, this would cause Magna to be completely unfazed, still saying that the only reason she was in a Magic Knight squad to begin with was because of Yami's good graces. She would make a sound, leaving the two of them while dropping her squad robe. This would cause Magna to pick it up and yell at her to come take it back, to which she would just ignore him. It's at this point that Magna would just tell him to ignore her and leave the princess alone, with Magna and Asta going off back to their side of the base, revealing to Asta his new room. Asta would be in tears, finally having a room of his own. Magna leaving, Asta would just look around, touching and rearranging things, thinking, this place is mine? Ecstatic, thinking about how far he's come, thinking of what's happened with him and Pochita, Yuno, and everyone back at Hodge Village, beginning to write his first letter back to them. The next day would come and Asta would wake up early in the morning to go train, going outside to go use the bathroom and beginning to do his push-ups and sit-ups as he does every morning. It's at this point while he's training, a water bomb would go off, splashing on Asta's face, having wandered from a far distance. Asta would sit up now all wet, looking forward as he walks around the base, seeing where the blast had come from, and seeing Noelle trying to do target practice, completely missing the shot every single time. In Noelle's mind, she'd be thinking of the disapproval from her brother and the history of why she's here. Thinking about how she can't even do such a simple spell would cause her to try and push past over the limit and use more mana than she's capable of, causing a crack in her wand to form, and also the grimoire to overpower her, as a massive ball of water, this huge sphere, began to form, causing a earthquake to start to happen underneath the base. Yami, Luck, Magna, and Vanessa would head out of the base to see if it was an enemy attack, seeing Noelle is completely out of control. Before Yami can do anything, worried that he might hurt Noelle if he tries to deactivate it himself, Asta would pull on the string on his chest, hearing a huge revving sound as a roar of gas and metal would come through the air, Asta's head transforming to the black metal of his own chainsaw form. Asta would run to the side of the Black Bull's base, running up the wall as he used the chainsaws to stab into the bricks to pull him higher, now getting up to level where Noelle was in the water ball. Asta would jump off lunging as he swings his arms, now making it into the water ball and using the momentum of his chainsaws, the spinning motion letting him paddle forward as he basically spins through the water like a top. Slamming into Noelle and catching her without cutting her with his chainsaws, he'd wrap his legs around her and use his chainsaw head and arms to pull both of them out of the water ball. Noelle and him falling down to the ground, Asta would deactivate his chainsaw form by slamming all three of his chainsaws into the ground, the metal shattering as he catches Noelle with the water magic deactivating. Asta would have damaged his legs and his arms when he landed, but it wouldn't really matter because he would begin to heal so quickly that it wouldn't have any effect. Anyway, the rest of the Black Bulls would come out trying to see what had happened, Noelle expecting to be chastised for what she had done. Instead, Asta would be amazed of her magic power, saying that was super impressive. Yami and the rest of the Black Bulls who were there agreeing, with Magna and Lux saying that they should fight her sometime, Charmy offering her food, and Vanessa saying that they should both go get some drinks together. Noelle could feel herself about to have tears in her eyes from realizing that these people are different than the family she grew up with, but she'd stop herself to cover her face so no one would see. No one would see the tears. Anyway, Asta and Noelle's relationship would begin here, the beginning of the connection between the Black Bulls starting here. The next day, Yami would assign for Asta and Noelle to go on their first mission, Magna being assigned as their senior to take them and show them the ropes. The three heading out, Asta, Noelle, and Magna all riding the same magic bike as they head out for their first mission as Magic Knights. If you guys want to see more of Black Chainsaw, where Asta has the powers of the Chainsaw Devil from Chainsaw Man, make sure to hit the like button. If we hit 300 likes, then I'll start the next part as soon as possible. And comment down below any ideas you have. So as you guys can see, Asta does have some anti-magic capabilities with his chainsaws from Pochita. So for those who are not caught up with the Chainsaw Man manga and actually care, maybe leave the video now, but thank you for watching. I've given you a ample warning. Now I'm going to explain something from Chainsaw Man spoilers. Okay, you guys gone yet? Sweet. Okay, so in Chainsaw Man, Pochita's true form of the Chainsaw Devil has the capabilities to nullify and actually kill true devils, which is basically some of the similar concepts of anti-magic. However, I don't want to just rip off Liebe and give him all the same abilities, so instead, the only anti-magic ability that Asta will have capability-wise with his chainsaws will be slicing and, I guess, cutting through magic, like I showed here with Noelle's water ball and Seke's magnum cannonball. Anyway, that's about it. For those of you guys who enjoyed the video, thank you so much for sticking around this long. If you have any critiques or any ideas, make sure to comment them down below. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.